Hello, welcome to Guns and Yellow Ribbons. I've had a haircut. Look how sharp, look, the beard's trimmed. Oh yeah, I'm looking cool. And I'm joined by some friends on Guns and Yellow Ribbons. I am joined by Johnny from the North Bank. Johnny, we haven't seen you for a little while.
Yeah, I've been.
How are you?
I've been majorly occupied with my allotment in lockdown whilst I've not been able to work. So no football.
Yeah, I heard you've been playing what you call it.
I've got a nice big one this morning, so I'm doing all right.
Rich, you're back. Controversial as always, I hope.
Well, just normal, really. Standards. I'm happy today because obviously, I'm in a good mood. So I want to stay in a good mood.
Good. Scodran, good to see you.
Yeah, man, I'm all good. Listen, it's been a good week, man. It's been a good week. It's the 1 week that I can say I'm actually okay being an Arsenal fan, and it's been a while since I can say that. So, what's happening, boys? Good to see us.
Good. Mem, you're not far away from me. Look, I can have a word with the barbers if you want, honestly.
Yeah, go ahead, mate. Book me in.
All right, yeah. You should know. Listen, you're Turkish. You should know a barber.
I do. Just none of them are open at the moment. But tomorrow. Good to be here.
And without no further ado, the man who has been faceless to Guns and Yellow Ribbons listeners of the past, we have Manny. Manny, introduce yourself and show that ugly mug of yours. Go on.
Did you call Pod Squadron?
Yeah.
Squadron.
Oh my god. No,
We've both got the same dodgy beard.
Just drunk some water and he spat it out everywhere.
Yeah. Don't take that from him, Potts. Don't take that from him. don't take that from him. It's good to be back on it. It's been a while. It's been a long time.
It has been a while, and I'm glad you've backed down and shown people that face of yours. And we love your opinion. We're glad you're on, and I enjoy that. Listen, before we go,
love my opinion, bro. Don't lie. Stop lying. Stop lying. Call a spade, man.
Listen, you're an NHS worker, and I know you also had COVID, which was a bit of a scare for you. But an hour ago, there was an applause for the NHS workers for 72 years since the NHS was established. My wife also works in the NHS, so I just thought at this very moment in time we could just say thank you, NHS, for what you've done over the last 6 months and before. But yeah, I just thought that should be put in the opening gambit of this thing, well and before football and Arsenal and everything else. So,
agreed.
Let's look at a couple of games. What we're going to look at is the Norwich game, a game that everyone says, oh, yeah, you should have won and everything else. And also we're going to look at the Wolves game, a game that everyone said, Jesus, that's going to be a tough one. Both positive results, we know, because it's now in the past. But, this is the first competitive game we had at home since the 7th of March, which was the West Ham game. And Dan, you'll remember me at that West Ham game. I was not very well at all, was I?
COVID,
and it wasn't due
to COVID. You did, mate. You had it. You had it.
Never tested, but yeah, it felt like I felt. Listen, I never felt like I wanted to leave a game of football. Well, actually, I did a couple of times, but for personal well-being, I never felt I wanted to leave a game of football before. Dave Hurl and myself went to the away game in Norwich, and it was a poor game away back in December. But what do we make of the lineups? Richard, do you want to go first? What did you make of the lineups against Norwich?
Yeah, I mean, Arteta, what he's had to do because of the number of games that we've had as a squad rotation, isn't it? So you're always expecting the unexpected when the team comes out. At the moment, it's never going to be the same lineup 2 games in a row, is it? So it was a slight surprise. One or two sort of selections. I mean, Lacazette started the game, didn't he? Where maybe Eddie had scored, hadn't he, the game before? Maybe thought he might have got another start, but it was pretty much as expected. I think it was, having won the game against Southampton, I don't think he wanted to make too many changes unless just to freshen it up a little bit. And I think that's what it was. So yeah, I mean, I was pretty happy with the lineup, and I think the performance kind of reflected that really overall.
I was just about to ask Johnny, but I don't think it's an apt time to ask Johnny right now. Johnny, what did you make of the lineups then? I just thought he was taking a drink. That was all.
I was, but I don't drink for as long as you do. Well, maybe I'd last a bit longer, but maybe not. I quite intrigued by the lineups, to be honest with you. I having Cedric start was a nice to see. I mean, I earned it when he came on and scored the goal in the last game. So,
Dan?
Yeah, this lineup interests me, and it seems to have worked against Sheffield United. So I was really pleased to see it implemented against Norwich, which a lot of people thought he was going to go back to the 4 at the back because it was Norwich, and we were kind of expecting it to be an easier fixed job just because of the way they play in comparison to Sheffield United. But going with this kind of 3-5-2, 3-6-1, whatever you want to call it, is kind of different in and out of possession, in my opinion. I was quite interested to see that. I spoke to Manny before, and we were kind of talking about feeling a little bit sorry for Nelson just for the pure fact that Bellerin and Ceballos hadn't been as good the last couple of games before that. So I was interested to see him play. It's a player that Arteta clearly has a lot of faith in. Whatever he's doing in training, Arteta wants to try and help him as much as he can. So that was the kind of only one that I thought was a potential shock in the lineup itself. But Arteta's got that nice mix at the moment of balance of youth and experience. And I was quite okay with the lineup against Norwich.
Manny, you say yourself and Dan talked beforehand. What did you make of the lineup then?
To be expected, considering the team that played at Sheffield United. I thought, Saka needed to get a breather, considering that he played every game since the start of lockdown, since after lockdown. Sorry, I didn't like Bellerin at right wing back naturally, just because I think he's been poor. And not just since coming back from ACL, he's been poor for a good 4 years now. But apart from that, it was to be expected for me.
Mem, your final thoughts on the lineup and the formation?
I've been encouraged by the fact that he's I know we say about the injuries and the breaks in the game and everything, but it's clearly obvious that the young guns are going to be the go-to guys this season, next season, and the year after that. I like the shape. I think it suits what we currently have at the moment. It gives a little bit more assurance at the back by playing the free and the lots of energy down the flanks. I've just been encouraged by the results. I've been quite positive about it, because we've been talking about it, and I think I posted a text yesterday. I really fancied the result yesterday. I know Wolves are a decent team, but I really did fancy it. I think it's more so what he's instilling in the boys. There just seems to be a better understanding. Whoever he picks coming in and out, they're working for one another to a much higher level. I think going back to the City game, the Brighton game we threw away. The City game was just an aberration of mistakes. It was just, and to a degree, it was always going to be a free hit because their levels are so high. But generally, I'm really encouraged by it. I think the man, I've got absolute belief in what he's doing. I've got all the time in the world for Mikel Arteta. I think he looks good. Not only does he talk well, the decisions that he makes more or less are coming off. I also think the man's got an absolute ruthless streak in him. It has to be absolutely his way. Otherwise, as he's demonstrated with Windozy, to agree with Ozil, because I think he's long done. But generally, yeah, really encouraged by the performances. Forgetting about the shapes he's using, the formation, the players that are going in and out. I just like the belief and the togetherness he's got. Yeah, just to touch on those two games, really. That's what I feel out of it. Yeah.
Manny mentioned about Bellerin playing at right wing back. What did you make of his performance, and where are you on him in that sense?
I know he's not playing great. However, I think the injury has most definitely robbed him of half a yard of pace. Having said that, he still does need games. I do like Hector. I'm not saying 3 or 4 years ago, they're talking about Barcelona, this, that, and the other. I still believe there's a good player in him. And I believe if anyone's going to get it out of him, I think it's our current manager. Have you guys mentioned Suarez as well? I mean, I think he's a really decent player. Remember him back in the Euros a few years ago? He was one of the standout fullbacks in the tournament.
For Portugal,
yeah. So I think having him there, Hector's now finally got someone. Well, if I don't turn up, if I don't show up, this guy's going to have my place. So I think that will help as well over the course of time as well. And I think he does still need a bit of time because an ACL is a big injury to get over, and especially the way what his game is based on. The pace in his game. So yeah, he's having a little bit of a hard time, but I don't think we're done with him yet.
No. Dan, you will have seen on one of the message groups earlier, there was a little bit of a video clip shared of Lee Gunner talking about ACL Bellerin. I'll leave it open. I'll leave the floor open to you. What did you make of that?
What did I make of Lee Gunner? Are we going to bring him up on this podcast?
I suppose we should keep it clean, shouldn't we, really?
I mean, listen, I've got no opinion on the guy because I've not met him, but I'll always meet people before I judge them. But yeah, I don't really understand what's happened to him over the last couple of years. But that's another story. In terms of Bellerin, I think he is a player whose time is up at Arsenal. I think he's been a player who's been here for 7 or 8 years now. I think 17 years old. He come to Arsenal, had a loan spell at Watford, and started to really settle in as a kind of right back that got the chance because Debussy got injured. And since then, never looked back, looked really pacey. For me, he's never really been great going forward. Has always been quite risky in terms of leaking goals because he's having a cup of tea at the corner flag when they're on your counter-attack. And I'm not too sure that without his pace that he's the player that I believe we're going to be wanting to see at Arsenal moving forward. So if there is a chance for 25, 30 million for him to go to PSG, Juventus, Barcelona, whoever it be, I would take that now that we've got Cedric Suarez and Maitland-Niles.
That's interesting, actually. You talk about Debussy because Debussy had probably 2 or 3 games. Richard Europe with Newcastle. He came from Newcastle to Arsenal. He got injured, unfortunately, and I think he was the main plan in the first place. Do you think that Bellerin is just, for the want of a better phrase, got above his station and ended up being the best we could have at that time?
No, not really. I mean, I think that's maybe a little bit harsh on him. I mean, he came in at a time maybe when he wasn't necessarily ready to play in the first team because obviously the injury to Debussy. And I actually think when he first came into the team, he actually looked pretty good. You know, he had a lot of energy, obviously had a lot of pace going forward. His defensive side of the game was never his maybe biggest strength. And I just feel as though maybe over the last couple of years, I mean, I remember that game at Crystal Palace a few years ago when he got a lot of stick off the crowd, didn't he? I think we lost 3-0 against Crystal Palace. And since then, I'm not quite sure if he's ever maybe totally got over that, maybe because his form's dropped a lot over the last couple of seasons since then. And I mean, I think it was quite telling for me at the end of the game against Norwich when there was a clip of him walking off the pitch, and it looked to me as though he'd almost resigned himself to having to leave the club because Suarez has come on, took his place, had a good little 10-minute spell, scored a goal, but then yesterday he came on, didn't he, last 10 minutes and actually played okay. So But I kind of agree with Potsy there to the fact that we can still probably get half decent money for him, and if we can now, we've got cover in that position. I think Suarez is going to be first choice now going forward, so maybe now would be the time. But I think Bellamy's done an okay job over the time he's been in the team. I don't really have any major issues with him. It's just unfortunately I think his injuries maybe finished him off, and I think now might be the time to maybe cash in while we still can.
No, I agree. Listen, Manny and Dan will know I have not been, and so will Mem know. I'm not a critic. Well, a critic. I am a critic, but I have.
You don't like him. Simple. You don't.
No. Mem, I do like him, but I don't think he's as good as everybody else.
I don't think he's ever been as good as. Even when Barcelona were like sniffing around him a few years ago, I don't think he's ever been that good. He's not particularly good at defending. His final ball lets him down. But the boy's got a bit of heart. He's come through our academy, and for that alone, having had the injury that he's recently had, and I do believe Suarez will take his place, chopping and changing with the remainder of the season and possibly beyond. But I just think an ACL is a terrible, terrible injury to come back from when you're a type of player that relies on pace, agility, twisting and turning. It's a real big injury, more so than a ruptured Achilles tendon or anything such like that. I think it's a bad one.
Johnny,
give it a chance.
Tim Krul, I think, is the keeper for Norwich. He cocked up and gave Aubameyang the opportunity to pounce and get 1-0. What did you make of the first goal against Norwich?
That was funny. It was such a validation of the high press, and you see the benefit of having someone like Nketiah who's always chasing and harrying and keeping up with the press up front, and it just shows that it works, even with teams that play out from the back, especially when we're going to make a big inroads of making that count.
Men, what did you make of the goal?
Yeah, absolutely what Johnny says. I think Mikel's also alluded towards it. When things like that come off, then it's reward for all the work that they're putting in on the training ground and what he's trying to instill into them. Because, with what he's got at the moment, with the players that we've got, to have them playing in the way and the manner that he's got them compared to just prior to him joining, it's a breath of fresh air, I think. I know all the results haven't been great, but it's good that they're getting rewards for that,
Manny, I thought I'd save goal number 2 for you because Aubameyang turned provider. And one of your favourite players, Granit Xhaka, ended up getting his first home goal for Arsenal since March 2019. So I'm really, really interested to hear this.
Why? It was a good goal.
Look at Dan. Dan's covering his mouth.
No, it was a good goal from a bang average player. What more do you want me to say? Started with Luiz. Again, it came from Lacazette dropping a bit deep. Because Norwich's plan was to press Xhaka and Ceballos, and what that did is it left Tierney free on the left-hand side. So, Luiz switches it. Tierney gets it to Aubameyang. Aubameyang gets it to Xhaka. It's a good goal. What more do you want me to say? I can praise a player when he does well, but you already know my feelings on Xhaka, and that's never going to change. But good goal nonetheless. He's still crap, though.
And Dan, has he turned from the most hated player to a hero, or what? And also, you got David Luiz. Everyone's moaning about him getting an extension to his contract for a year, and the crossfield pass that he did to give the ball to Tierney, to supply it to Aubameyang, to make Granit Xhaka score that goal was divine.
It was the best goal of the night. David Luiz and Granit Xhaka are not heroes. They are the best of a bad bunch at the moment, and they still have no future at this club. Both of them need to leave over the next couple of seasons because we need to be moving forward. If we want to be staying in 6th place, 7th place, keep Luiz, keep Xhaka, keep Ozil. These players need to be going still. Though I do not change my mind on that. Granit Xhaka has been better. David Luiz in a back three is fine. I've got no problems with that. He won the league with Chelsea in it. His range of passing has always been fantastic. In the back three, he looks comfortable. In a back two, it is a shambles. So the goal itself was a great pass. Tini, who for me has been the positive over the last few games, he's looked excellent. Was fantastic all game against Norwich. And Aubameyang, who I don't actually like on that left-hand side, proves that he can score from anywhere still. You know, people have said to me, it doesn't matter. He statistically scores more goals from the left, which is apparently true. The stats don't lie. Again, great that night against Norwich. He was fantastic. The guy I'd love to see down the centre, but again, proves that he's okay there. And Granit Xhaka scores a great goal. Don't normally see late runs from Granit Xhaka into the box like that. But it's a midfield that does not score goals. So when a midfielder score goals, I'll say credit to him. I thought it was the best goal of the night, to be fair. But Xhaka and Luiz have got a long way to go if they want to be called heroes at Arsenal Football Club, in my opinion.
Neither of them will ever be called.
They'll never be.
They'll never be heroes.
But he's getting a performance out of them at the moment. He's drawing a performance out of them. And that'll do for now until something better comes along for us.
Playing three at the back is tactically the best we can do with the players we've got.
Exactly.
Like you were saying about Luiz winning the league with Chelsea. He won the Champions League with Chelsea in the back three. You know, that's where he played when he went to Paris Saint-Germain. He played in the back three. So I think it's who plays either side of him. Sead Kolasinac playing on the left of the three is only because he's a lefty. If Holding was a lefty, he'd be playing there. That's why we bought Mari to play on the left of a two or a three. So it's either that or we put Tierney there and put Sead at left wing back. Which
he's spoken about it as well. Mikel Arteta has.
If you put Tierney there, you lose the effectiveness of his pace and his ability to cross the ball. Rich, it would be unfair not to give you an opportunity to blow smoke up Xhaka's arse. Go on.
I mean, you know my feelings on Xhaka. I do feel he gets a bad kind of. He gets a lot of unnecessary criticism. I think he's not a spectacular player necessarily, but we've noticed when he didn't play immediately after the lockdown when he was injured, the difference in the shape of the team when he's in it, and it was the same before lockdown as well. Arteta's actually improved him, not necessarily as a player, but just because he's got a better structure of the team around him now, so he can actually be more effective in the game. I think that the goal against Norwich, and if you saw the way that the game kind of went, and again against Wolves, he was given a little bit more freedom to get forward against Norwich, wasn't he? To make them runs into the box, which we don't have anyone in midfield generally does that. And then against Wolves as well, later in the game, when he brought Torreira on, Xhaka had a bit more of a freedom to get forward, which I think is more his game. He's been stuck in more of a defensive position where maybe that doesn't suit him because of maybe his lack of pace against some sort of speedy players. And but you can see the difference he makes when he plays. I mean, I'm not saying he's the greatest player in the world. I'm not saying that necessarily he's the future going forward. But I think at the moment, he's doing a great job. He's had a decent season overall. Certainly, he's been our best midfield player over the course of the season. And I'm assuming that he's probably going to be still doing the same job next season as well. Hopefully, with somebody else alongside him that we buy. Hopefully, someone who plays for.
Well, Rich, would you replace him this summer, if you could? If there was money was no object, would you have Xhaka in your team still, or would you bring someone that's a bit quicker, a little bit more energy in midfield? Because I feel he slows the play down so much, Xhaka.
It's the quickness between the ears that we need.
But I think if we've got, say for example, if we get Thomas Partey, right, which is looking a little bit more believable, if we was to get him and have him and Xhaka there, then I don't think we necessarily need to replace Xhaka with Partey. I think the two together actually would work really well because I think they could complement each other with the difference in their sort of what they bring to the team. And I think there could be a good midfield there. I'm not necessarily saying if we can get someone else. I mean, my personal favourite in the Premier League is Decore. I would buy Decore tomorrow. Yeah. Watford, and I think he would give us what we need. Imagine him and Partey in midfield. That would just be, for me, that would be ideal. But I can't see us buying 2 players. If we're going to buy 2 players, let's get a midfield player and let's get a commanding centre half rather than replace Xhaka. And I can't see us buying 4 or 5 players as much as we want us to. If we're only going to buy 2 players, don't buy 2 midfield players. Buy 1 midfield player and 1 defender, and then keep Xhaka certainly for another season. And then maybe next year we've got a bit more money, a couple more windows, then we can maybe start replacing some of these players. But that would be my personal choice. I don't think there's any rush to get rid of Xhaka. I think he's playing well, and he looks like he's got another 2 or 3 years left in him, whether that's with us or whether we move him on eventually. But I wouldn't say that's a priority. The priority is to get someone else in midfield and another defender who can attack the ball.
Rich, Kai asked a really good question on there. Like, you're a big advocate of Granit Xhaka, and you talked about Partey. I'll talk about Partey in a second, but doesn't Partey do Granit's job?
No, I don't think he does. Obviously, Partey is much more of an athlete, isn't he? And he's gonna bring what Xhaka. He's going to have the sort of attributes that Xhaka doesn't have. So I think the 2 complement each other. Obviously, Xhaka's left-footed as well. Partey's right-footed. So I think it'd be a good combination as well. So I don't think they do the same job. And I don't think that if we got Partey in, he wouldn't be brought in to do the same job. He'd be more brought in to replace maybe Ceballos, who's probably going to leave anyway, and replace Ceballos' kind of energy in midfield.
I'll get.
Yeah, but Ceballos is more of a ball player, isn't he? I don't know enough about Thomas Partey. Dan, I asked you on the a text, I think, earlier on. I don't know a great deal about him. I've not seen enough about him whether to make a decision as to whether he'll be good for us or not, to be fair. So I'm being guided by you guys. But Ceballos is more of a ball player, I personally think. And from what I hear about Partey, he's more of a physical element to your team.
He gets up and down the pitch. I mean, he gets up and down the pitch. He's very sort of physically strong. He's got a lot of energy, and I think he's got a good range of passing as well. I think he's got a good range of passing as well. I mean, he's a different player to Ceballos, but I think maybe that's what Xhaka would need as well, and that's what the team needs for the balance in midfield that we've maybe been lacking.
I'm with Manny and Dan regarding Xhaka. I think he's on borrowed time. If I had a choice on it, just the mere fact what he did with just that alone for me, I would have never ever had him play my team ever again. But I need
he shouldn't be anywhere near the armband.
He should be in our shirt. He should be wearing our shirt again.
Just out of principle, he shouldn't. He can be a leader on the pitch without having something as sacred as the armband.
He's not a leader. Look, you don't go around telling people that you're a leader. Leadership and that kind of respect is bestowed upon you by friends and colleagues around you, by your actions and your example. And he sets a really piss poor example. Okay, but at the moment, our need is such that we don't have anybody else, and he does bring a physicality to our team, which was missing when he was injured or suspended. So for now, as I said earlier on, until we get something better, he's got to do for us.
Listen to Arteta. What Arteta says about Xhaka. That's you're saying he's not a leader. Well, Arteta clearly said he's a leader, and I think previous.
He's got to be positive about him, though, Rich. He's got to be. He can't go out there and tell him what he really thinks about him.
No, but he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to be so firm in his kind of leader. He said how much of a leader he sees Xhaka as being, and if he sees him as being a leader, then to me, he's a manager of the team.
He's no leader.
How can anybody be a leader? How can anybody be a leader when he acted the way he acted with the armband? Any midfield that has Granit Xhaka in it is not going to be a midfield that's going to win you a title. Granit Xhaka's attributes are not good enough for him to be in this team. At some point in the season, Granit Xhaka is going to cost you. At some point, Granit Xhaka's unathletic body and slow brain is going to put us in a position where we lose a goal or we lose a lead. We've seen it time and time and time again. The only reason he is in that midfield is because he can pass the ball long from deep. He's slow, he doesn't have a brain, and he's rash. He's not physical, he's rash.
He's rash because he doesn't see the play happening. That's because of the lack of footballing intelligence.
He doesn't have it. So any midfield that's got Granit Xhaka in it, you're not going anywhere. All right, we should be looking to replace him. The fact he's playing well should be putting pound signs above his head, not putting him in the team. No, forget that.
I'd rather have one of Alexis Sanchez's Labradors
Johnny,
in the midfield.
This is about Arsenal Football Club, not Granit Xhaka. Okay, Granit Xhaka
Okay, let's
happens
go.
to play. So let's bring it back on. We're looking at the Norwich game. And yeah, Norwich, Xhaka scored a goal, great. But more importantly, Aubameyang got his 50th goal, the fastest 50th in 79 games, and he got his 51st goal, which brought it to 3-0, which was another cock up by a Norwich player. Manny, does that make Granite? Oh, Jesus Christ, Richard, what you done to me?
You're obsessed with me. What's the matter with you? You're obsessed with me.
Does that make Aubameyang a club legend?
Oh,
Don't drop a grenade like that. Like anybody's going to agree with you.
Oh,
It doesn't matter. It's my job.
No,
you're not a legend. You're not a legend if you tell the fans to fuck off.
No, not Granit Xhaka. I'm talking about Aubameyang.
Aubameyang.
Listen,
you said Granit.
No, that was Richard. I said Aubameyang got his 50th and 51st goal against Norwich. The fastest 50 goals, faster than Thierry Henry. He got it in 79 games, where Thierry Henry got it in 86 or 84 games. Does that make Aubameyang a legend?
I'll tell you what will make him a legend, right? As if he signs the ting and finishes his career here and scores another 20 goals a season for the next 3 seasons, and then hangs up his boots when he could have gone elsewhere for more money. When you look at the players that we call legends,
he'll need a trophy or two along the way.
But we need people to put the we need to get goals. We can only win games by scoring goals. He's our best chance. I think with him bringing on the players around him, Saka and Martinelli and Nketiah, and learning from them, all those burgeoning talents, then we can do that. But you look at the people that we call legends, every single one of them stayed for the name on the front of the shirt. And they could have gone for more and got loads more money elsewhere, but they were happy with what we gave them. All right, it might have changed slightly now. We do pay out a lot more money, but you talk about Bergkamp could have gone, Thierry could have gone a lot sooner to Real Madrid. These are legends that we call legends because they stuck around and could have gone on.
We fought tooth and nail to keep those players as well. Don't forget, we fought tooth and nail, didn't we?
Yes, we did. But we didn't break the bank for him.
No,
we didn't bankrupt the club in order to keep them. But there was something more than the bank balance that kept them here. There was much more in an emotional attachment. If they're here,
the team around them as well kept them here, didn't it? Bergkamp probably wouldn't have stayed as long. Vieira wouldn't have stayed as long if we had the team we have now, because they wouldn't have wanted to play in that team. If Aubameyang stays now, I think he deserves any plaudits that he gets, because he's above the level of our team this season by an absolute mile, and probably last season as well. And if he stays around, he's buying into the project for a start off, and he's not just jumping ship to go and win some trophies. He's actually sticking around because he wants to win, or he wants to follow the process through with the current sort of setup with Arteta and stuff like that. So I think that maybe at the moment it's too early to call him a legend. He's not been here long enough, but he certainly, if he signs his contract and stays, then to me he's certainly halfway down that route. And hopefully, if we win some trophies as well, then he can definitely say that he is. But if he stays, he's buying into what we're doing. And
he made some really nice comments this week about the young lad signing as well, which again looks promising, and he alluding towards, I'm going to sit down with the club. We need to make it happen. We need to fight tooth and nail and make it. Like Mikel said it as well. We need to make him create the environment. We need to make him feel wanted. We need to be going players, because great players want to be associated with winning teams. So that's the key to it.
Yeah, but you've got to think of it this way.
hang on, Johnny, stop a second. Manny, I asked you the question at the start of this, and you were struggling to give an answer straight off. You've heard what the other guys have said. You've had enough time to think about it. So I'll put the question back to you. Is Aubameyang a club legend at seven?
No.
Okay.
No, not yet. We throw around the word legend so easily because, certain players are doing things that we haven't seen before. That's all well and good, but longevity should get you that status, not records,
winning things. He's more of a Dortmund legend now than he is an Arsenal legend.
For sure. He's not an Arsenal legend, but you stay here for another 2 years, you keep scoring your goals, you'll be in the conversation. But for now, no, not even close.
Potsy, what do you think?
He's my favourite Arsenal player. If he signs the Ting, he will be even more of a club hero of mine. I'm a real big fan. I want to keep him, even if he does not sign. I've said it before. I would keep the guy and let his contract run down because I'd rather see us with Aubameyang next season. He is not a club legend, but he has got to be spoken about if he continues this form in those terms for the next couple of seasons. If he continues to score the 25, 30 goals a season that he has done over the last couple of seasons. Great prayer. Massive fan.
You've got to remember that football is a trade. Football is a skill that they work on, and it's like anybody in a trade. Like I'm an electrician, and I work at my trade. And one of the most rewarding parts of my job was now I've got to a certain point that I can actually bring on the next round of tradespeople and help them get better, and that brings me much more joy than the money I earn. And I think that's more admirable in the senior players, which he is, in order to bring on the other players, stay and make these players like Saka, Martinelli, and Nketiah, and make them the best possible players that we can get out of them by learning from one of the best strikers that Europe's seen in the last decade. And you can't say he isn't, because stats say he is.
And Johnny, Cedric Suarez came on and he scored from outside the penalty area after 229 seconds on the pitch, which means he's scored as many Premier League goals for Arsenal as he did for 120 appearances for Southampton. I think Mem touched on the point of how good he was for Portugal in the Euros. What did you make of Suarez' performances? And then we do need to move on from this game because we've got a far more.
We're going to overrun. We all know that we don't like to overrun. At first, I was very surprised at how short he was. To be honest, I thought he was 6 foot plus, and then I realised that he's shorter than my hairline. But, he did really well when he came on. I think he was quite tidy in his passing and he was quite aggressive in the tackle. So I think he did really well and earned his place in the next game.
Anybody else have anything to comment on the Norwich game before we move on?
No, let's press on, mate.
No, let's press on. That's fine. The one thing you talked about Partey, and the possibility of Partey coming to Arsenal. The only party we may have is a European party, be it Europa or be it Champions League, but we are not bringing Partey from Spain to here. Dan will know I have a contact that gives me an awful lot of
being a fucking party pooper, bruv. Stop doing that. You are ruining some people's hope, yeah? Shut up. Be quiet. Don't say anything.
He's our resident ITK, man. Come on.
Oh, dear.
Manny, honestly, I am not an ITK. I share some information that's given to me without prompting, and every bit of information.
No.
You just want people to know that you are in the know. Yeah, that's what you're doing.
The only bit of information that I've had that hasn't come true was the possibility of Nuno Santos coming in replacement of Emery when 2 weeks before Emery was gone. But Dan, how good has the information been?
Yeah, it's been reliable, man. It's been reliable. So far, everything is happening obviously the contracts, which we'll talk about in a while, have all come true. So he is very, very, very reliable. I will back you up there, Ferg.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So we're looking at Wolves. You know, the Wolves game, I went on record saying that I predicted a 2-1 victory for Arsenal. That was all that. That was all that speaking. But here, in reality, thought a 2-0 loss. We faced Wolves storming in. They were storming for contention for top 4. They had 3 straight wins over West Ham, Bournemouth, and Aston Villa. Okay, yeah, the competition's not great, but we struggled against bloody Brighton, for Christ's sake. So, you know, it was for me, it was a huge test. And we talked about last week, but a few days ago when we were on the last podcast, that we've got Wolves, we've got Leicester, we've got Tottenham, we've got Liverpool, we've got Man City, and then we've got 2 relegation battling sides as well to face before the end of the season. So it's, you know, we've got a tough run in. With a lineup of a 3-5-3. Manny, is 3 at the back the way forward for us?
At the minute, it is, because we haven't got the players to play a 4-3-3. I think the Wolves game, for me, tactically, was my favorite game of the season. It wasn't just that we matched them up. It was the fact that, you know, technically, we weren't at the races, but we were structured, we were organized, and there was a plan. The plan was to stop Wolves from picking the ball from us and hitting us on the counter-attack. We plugged the gaps well. I thought Traore, apart from, you know, a couple of instances, he was kept quiet. Jimenez was barely a fixture in this game. The subs came at the right time, and it was the right subs. So if 3 at the back is what we are building to at the moment, I mean, if Mario was fit, he's left centre back, and you've got Luiz in the middle, and maybe Mustafi started right centre back. It's a team that at the moment is built to play 3 at the back with the defenders that we have. I think it's a system that works. I think most players are understanding it. Our right side was the weakest. You know, Suarez coming in and Saka, there wasn't that connection there. But tactically, we did our job against Wolves. And it was impressive. I enjoyed it.
Totally agree. Richard, Manny touched on Traore. Traore, just we'll generally discuss him as such, because he is probably, because of the beast of a man that he is, he should be playing rugby league, we've said before, because of his speed and his stature. But Arteta tactically managed him out of the game. He really struggled. He should, in fairness, he had one opportunity and he shot it to Rowe's edge, which was unusual for him. But go on, discuss. I'll leave it open to you, Rich.
Yeah, I mean, Traore has been one of the players I've been most impressed with this season in the whole Premier League. Just when he's on form, he's almost impossible to stop. He's got pace to go past people. He's got the strength and the power, and he's added end product, hasn't he, with great crosses into the box. So before the game, my concern was, how could we deal with him when so many other teams haven't been able to? I mean, he ran right against Man City, for example, twice this season. So, but as it said, Arteta got that spot on. I mean, to me, one of the clever things he did in that game was bring Maitland-Niles on to basically man mark him. At the time, you're thinking, why are you taking Tierney off as a natural left back, bringing Maitland-Niles, who's a right-sided player, on to play on that side? But literally, he brought him on to just literally mark Traore out of the game for the last 20 minutes, and it worked perfectly. Traore did have, apart from the first minute when he got through and had that chance, and then the one in the second half that you said he chips over the bar, pretty much the rest of the game he was kept quiet. And he kept quiet, one, because of the tactics Arteta had used, and then when some people were maybe tiring and thinking he's going to be dangerous in the last 20 minutes, which he has been in previous games, he basically brought Maitland-Niles on to kick him about for 20 minutes, and it was perfect. I mean, that was, to me, that's one of the best substitutions I think I can remember an Arsenal manager making for probably over 20 years. It was just genius, absolute genius, and that in the end was what got us over the line, I think, as well. Plus, obviously, the other subs who created the second goal, but just doing that one move at that particular time in the game when you're just waiting for Traore to do something, he's expecting him to, and he said to Maitland-Niles, go on there and stop him, and he did, and it was brilliant. Absolutely, but maybe that's Maitland-Niles' future as a man marker, because he, you know, if he can man mark Traore for 20 minutes, you've got a pretty good chance of man marking most other players in the Premier League.
Well, Maitland-Niles was allowed to play in his more natural position in the midfield, which makes a huge difference for him, rather than being shoved out in the wing, left back, right back, wherever else he's been put. And I do think that makes a big difference.
No, Fergus. Maitland-Niles is a fullback. He is a fullback, and he needs to get into his head that he's a fullback. When he came on, it gave Traore a completely different look. Tierney stood off Traore a little bit. That's how he defended him at the Emirates, and that's how he kept him quiet. Maitland-Niles went right at Traore because he's a good 1v1 stand-up defender. He is a fullback. He has the physical stature to play that position. He needs to get into his head. You're a fullback. There's an opportunity to play that position. Take it, because he's got the attributes to do well over there.
I think he's actually our best right wing back that can play the inverted wing back role that Arteta wants to play. He has the, because it comes into his more natural position, as he likes to think it is, and coming into the midfield, and he links up really well with whoever's on the right wing. He grew into the role, and he made himself a brilliant role because he wanted to grasp it with both hands. Great, but now he needs to accept that he might not make it as a he might be in the top 50 centre midfielders in British football if he was to move and go on to be a centre midfield. But if he really works at it, he could possibly be a top 5 right wing back in the Premier League if he works at it, because he has the attributes with the evolving game that we have.
But guys, where does that put Cedric Suarez? Where does that put Bellerin?
He plays on both sides, Ferg. He can play on both fullback positions.
Suarez is a stopgap, a cheap stopgap.
Yeah, he is. He's a decent player, though. He's a decent little player.
Yeah, but it doesn't change the fact that our best right wing back is Maitland-Niles because of what he brings to the game and what he can actually contribute to the tactics that Arteta wants to play.
He's
and he's
doing well. I think what Manny said about his physical attributes are suited for the role. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with all what you guys are saying about the Wolves game. Pretty much agree with everything you're saying. I think the shape was good. Just the way we competed across the full 90 or 100 minutes. The attitude of the players is just really, really good. They're covering each other. And there weren't too many silly bugger mistakes the other night. And if we can cut out the silly bugger mistakes, it gives us a foothold in the game. It's those stupid mistakes and errors that we're gradually eradicating that is helping build the confidence of the team as well, I feel. But something that Richard said about the substitute, we were texting as well while the game was on, and for the first 20-25 minutes of the second half, Wolves were just, you could see it was building, you could see it was coming. Something that I've noticed with the water breaks, I think the water breaks at the moment are absolutely key for the way they're changing the momentum of the games and the matches. And the subs that you make,
there's so much tactical stuff done in those water breaks.
Yeah.
It's like a mini half time. It's like a time
game of 2 halves. That's what the point I was going to make. I don't think it's any longer a game of 2 halves. Yeah, the water breaks do allow you to change things up. Mikel does you can see he's very touchy-feely with the players. He's constantly coaching them because the vast majority of them actually do need coaching. But I think the water breaks have to be used in conjunction with the substitutes, because after the water break, they weren't in it after that. Wolves, I think we controlled the first half fairly well. We got our goal. They came out as you would expect them to. And then the water break and the 2 substitutions for me changed everything. And then thereafter we was in control and should have finished 3-0 up.
That goal, Dan, you haven't spoken for a little bit. Cedric was involved with the assist for Saka. I've got some great songs for Saka. For Saka's goal just before half time, it was the first time they conceded a goal in 448 minutes. That's how important. One, the young lad who's just signed a very lucrative £4 million contract with Arsenal, and I think it was a good idea to not start him immediately, just to get his head in the game. But he comes on, he scores that goal. Thoughts?
Listen, man, this was the best away performance I've seen in recent times. Saka, I actually thought, started the game pretty quiet, if I'm honest, on the right-hand side. Didn't look too comfortable for me. That goal was epic. That was an unbelievable strike with his left foot. Great from Tierney, great from Aubameyang. Fantastic strike. And then you knew what was going to happen in the second half. You knew Wolves was going to come into it. You just knew what was going to happen. The goal was coming. Traore should have scored it, but it went over the bar. But what Arteta did was he did what I have kind of criticised him or kind of put him in similar terms of Arsene Wenger with his substitutions over the last few games. He got every single substitution spot on, and Maitland-Niles, for me, was man of the match, even though he only played 40 minutes. I thought him and David Luiz, it was between. Maitland-Niles, I loved everything about that. Yeah, everything about Maitland-Niles coming on was fantastic. Tactically, Arteta got it right. Maitland-Niles' attitude, which has been questioned over the last few weeks, was spot on. And what he did was just come on and give 110%, and that's what we wanted to see. Saka, spot on. And then, of course, when the subs come on with Bellerin and Willock coming on, I was thinking, oh, no, I don't want to be seeing that. Absolute spot on. Joe Willock, another person I've at times been not so keen on, was absolutely brilliant. Bellerin come on and was okay. And of course, Lacazette come on and did what Eddie, who I must admit was great with his energy, but could not hold the ball up. Lacazette does exactly that, and then we score and win the game. The whole performance was absolutely spot on, and there's one man to credit, and it is the manager. Mikel Arteta was absolutely spot on there. I like everything I'm hearing from him. I loved everything about their attitude. I didn't think there was many weak players. There was weak links, I thought personally, but I won't go into that because we're all about positives at the moment. And I think there is some unbelievable youth coming through at the right time for Arsenal, and we are going to be looking at that youth as our future, and hopefully we can add to that in the summer moving forward. There is a lot to be positive about as an Arsenal fan at the moment going forward.
Richard, Lacazette scored his first goal in the Premier League away in 16 games since February 2019. As Dan rightly pointed out, Willock came on in the 76th minute. And he created that chance, and he's created more chances than any other player since lockdown, as Willock. What did you make of Lacazette's goal and Willock's performance?
I think what's happening is since, particularly with the sort of pre-lockdown, post-lockdown games, substitutions have become really, really important, haven't they? In a lot of games, not just Arsenal games, but a lot of games in the Premier League, the substitutes are making a big impact. And I think that's exactly what happened with us at Wolves in particular, because, Willock came on, gave us a little bit of extra energy in midfield that we'd maybe second half, we'd been under a lot of pressure. He can run with the ball, can't he? He can take the play up the other end of the pitch, and that's what we needed at that particular time. He won quite a few free kicks as well, didn't he, by running at some of their defenders. And obviously Lacazette, I mean, at the moment I feel a bit sorry for him, because when he seems to start a game, he'll get one or two chances and he won't take them, and then he's sort of left on the bench, and he's coming off the bench and he's having an impact off the bench, isn't he? Which is sometimes, for a player, I can imagine that must be quite difficult, because it's almost like his best role in the team at the moment is coming on as opposed to starting games sometimes, I think, maybe. I mean, he took that goal unbelievably well, didn't he? I mean, the little touch around the defender, and then to get it right in the corner, that was a great goal, and it shows exactly what he can do. I just feel his confidence maybe in front of goal's been lacking, and hopefully that goal there will give him that confidence to push on and go on and get the goals he should be getting, because he's not scored enough goals for us, really. When he came, it was, we were thinking he was going to maybe get the sort of numbers that Aubameyang.
He should be our top goal scorer as a number 9. Like,
well, he should be getting a lot more goals than he is. I mean, he should be getting 20 goals. I know last season he got 19, but he should be getting more than 20 goals a season, and that's regardless of how many Aubameyang's going to score, just because of the sort of player that he is. But to me, he spends too much time outside the penalty area, and that's probably why, because he drops deep to play, doesn't he? Which is probably what he's told to do.
I think that's what everyone talks about, that they like about Lacazette, and why he's actually been given as much rope as he has been given, is because of his work rate, because he is tracking back and he is doing things. You think of Palace away last season, Burnley away that we were at, that was a shit game, but but he is there. He's tracking back. He's doing stuff. He's getting involved in the midfield, and he's sometimes dropping too deep that
That's
can't
why he's
have an
not throwing
impact.
enough goals, isn't it? Exactly, because we're getting the ball in the box and he's not in there, is he? To finish him off.
Right, that's because we don't have good enough midfields. Like Johnny's mentioned in the chat about Smith Rowe and Ceballos, and like you got Willock and so on. Johnny, you're a big advocate of Smith Rowe. Do you think he could come in and fulfill that midfield role and a scoring midfield role that we're missing since we lost Aaron Ramsey? Because that's where why we are in the position we are in the league at this very moment in time. And not only we know about our defensive issues, but in the midfield, we don't have enough scoring midfields to score enough goals. And how many goals have we had from the midfield? About 2, 3 this season?
2. One of them was the Xhaka goal that we had the other day.
There we go.
I'm as big a fan of Smith Rowe as I am Joe Willock. To be honest, I think Joe Willock is a key player for us in the future if he's given the time in the middle. I think he's the successor to Ramsey. He can bring the goals. We've seen it earlier in the season in the cup against Liverpool where he banged it in from 35, 40 yards. So he's got the goals there. Smith Rowe has been playing absolutely fantastically at Huddersfield. I've been listening to a few general football podcasts, and I heard a few things about Huddersfield fans being absolutely enamoured with him. But I think if he came back into the side, he could nail down a place. If we're going with youth, and we can't sign a top, centre midfielder that we want to, then why not use the ones that we've got? We've got enough good, technically gifted young players that we can mould them into the kinds of players that we need. I think Smith Rowe probably will go out on loan again, but Willock is here. He's putting his stamp on things. I think we've got players we didn't really need to buy us.
Yeah, I also think he's building up, and so somebody said Archangel said Saka as a midfielder in the YouTube chat, but you know what? I'll pop it up on the screen so everyone else can see it. Who knows what Saka is? Saka's playing left back, right back, wing back, number 10. Saka is an absolute. He is a Swiss Army knife of a footballer.
Wherever you put him, he's performed. And the hard thing is going to be finding what his best position is and making him the very best at that. But if he's going to be a utilitarian player, he might end up being like Maitland-Niles and not ending up being happy enough in the role that he's given. But I think he's the kind of player we want to build around and not, round hole, square peg kind of thing.
He said this week as well in his post-match interview, what did he say? What a week I've had. I'll remember this for the whole of my life. It's been such a great week, signing my contract and then getting my first Premier League goal. I will have to stay humble and I will have to keep my feet on the ground and to keep learning. Manny, that's what you want to hear from your youth, isn't it?
100%. 100%. I was so happy that he signed that deal because he is our future. But I would rein on the side of caution when it comes to these youngsters because they're in a unique position where they don't have anybody to learn from. So essentially, they're being put in a position where they're having to learn on the job. So they will have periods where they will struggle. They will have periods where they will have, dips in form, and we need to be behind them instead of slating them. What we lacked in midfield yesterday is technical ability. We lacked somebody who can recycle possession and keep the ball. But we got to give these youngsters time. And it's a shame that they have to be the men as opposed to a backup. it's a problem, and
yeah,
it could be trouble. It could be trouble. So I would say be careful with these youngsters and building them up too high, because it's a steep drop if they don't make it to where we think they can. But in terms of Saka, love the kid. Love the kid because of his attitude. Play me wherever you can, coach. Play me wherever you can. I'm going to learn. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. He's learning, and he's eager to learn, and he's performing.
He's definitely on the boat. He's driving the boat. He's down in the engine room.
And again, that's the problem. That's the problem. He is down in the engine room. It should be somebody else.
They can lie on the boat and sun themselves and flick their long hair. Not talking about anybody in particular there, are we? Mem, we and Dan as well, and Richard, you can comment on this, but we talked in particular after the Norwich game. I think we had a chat on the, I don't even know what day is today. It's Sunday, I think, today. Whatever day it was after the Norwich game, it was Thursday. Yeah. So, listen, this is where I live. I live in this room. This is my office. This is. I go nowhere else but across out that door into my bed. I'm here. This is where I am.
And the pub now as well.
What's that?
And the pub now as well. You go there as well.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. I may go there out of working hours again. Definitely out of working hours, but what working hours are debatable. We talked about Martinelli.
Oh yeah,
and how good is Martinelli? I've got a stat on Martinelli. Let me bring it up here. Martinelli, are you more comfortable with Martinelli or Leno? Sorry, not Martinelli. Martinez. Martinez. Yeah. Are you more comfortable with Martinez over Leno? Martinez has kept a clean sheet in 6 out of his 8 Premier League starts for Arsenal, 75% success rate, the best ratio of for the last who with at least 5 starts in the competition. We talked and we mentioned.
I'm massively impressed by him. I don't actually think there's a great deal between him and Leno when you consider that Leno's been regarded generally as the number 1 for the last 2 years and has played regularly. Leno has made some outstanding saves and on a number of occasions kept the score down and kept things respectable. But I'm really, really pleased with the way Emi Martinez has been playing. I think his distribution is really good. I think it's more so his decision making. I think the distribution with the goalkeeper is about the decision. You know, when they take that touch, instead of passing it first time or hoofing it first time, they take a touch that gives that on rushing forward, that extra couple of split seconds to get onto them, as we've seen with our own forwards nicking a couple of goals this season. I like the fact that he moves it on quickly when he needs to move it on. I'm really encouraged by the fact that occasionally we're now hitting it long. And if we don't win the first ball, we battle for the second ball. And if we don't win that, at least teams are not right on top of us attacking our goal straight away. So, yeah, I think he feels more comfortable hitting it longer, more so than Leno has done. Leno seems to want to play it and play it all the time.
I watched the game without fake sound on Sky because I think the fake sound on Sky is so fake. And I heard him doing one of those long clearances, and he shouted as he kicked the ball. He shouted up, and it went far left corner, and he shouts out Oba. He knows exactly where the ball's going, and he cuts out their midfield, and he gives us an opportunity to put them under pressure.
He's been good. He's been good. I'm sure you all think he's been good. I've been really impressed by him. I really have.
He's very good at gathering the ball in on a save, and actually it sticks to him quite well. And that's a skill that not a lot of keepers have nowadays. You look at Edison, Kepa, and Alisson; they punch it out a lot more than they actually gather it in. I don't think he's as good a shot stopper as Leno, though.
I did notice him on 2 or 3 occasions against Wolves, catching the ball, bringing the ball in and controlling the ball far more. And to be honest, as a keeper, I think that's better than punching clear. I know the ball has changed and they say the shape has changed and the trajectory of the ball has changed and so on. But for me, you catch a ball and that's your job.
He has a real opportunity while Leno is out, so he needs to grab it, and I think he's doing that.
I agree. Richard, Dan, anything to add on Leno? We're nearly done, actually. So I know we're going to touch on contracts, but
I suggested after the game that if you could kind of combine Leno and Martinez together, you'd have the perfect goalkeeper. Because what Leno's better, he's got slightly better shot stopper maybe than Martinez. Martinez got better distribution, maybe more commanding. So I think between the two of them, they're like probably the best goalkeeper that you'd ever have if you could combine them. So we're lucky to have two goalkeepers at that level, really, because most second choice goalkeepers in the Premier League are not that good, are they? For a second choice goalkeeper, Martinez is, I think, probably the best in the league now. I think he's proved that. Will he take Leno's place? I don't think so. I think Leno deserves to still be number one, but we certainly have been. We can't ask for a better number two, can we? Really? Will he want to stay number two though next season? That's going to be the problem, isn't it? Possibly.
Well, he seems to be happy with being a number two because he went away to Reading and he was given the opportunity to sign for Reading on the permanent.
But he's not played for us for that many games in the league, has he? Before this is going to be his biggest run in the team, isn't it? Because of the injury, and having played maybe 10 games at a good level, is he going to think, "Oh, actually, I should stay in the team next season"? He probably will, and you can't blame him. And if that doesn't happen, is he then going to think to himself, I'm sure there'll be other Premier League clubs that would be interested in buying him now. Maybe teams like, I don't know, Watford or people like that, might well be interested in him, and he could get a regular game, or West Ham, people like that. So I think it's going to be tricky to keep hold of two good goalkeepers. I think that's the problem most clubs have got.
No, I think there's enough games to keep two good goalkeepers. I feel there's enough games, especially once we get in Europe as well next year.
I was going to say that depends. Dan, you haven't spoken for a little bit. Do you want to finish up on Martinez?
Let's not get it twisted. Leno has been our best player for the last 2 seasons. After 7 games, I'm not going to chuck that dude out. So, great backup. Absolutely. Credit where credit's due. I got this one wrong. I was not looking forward to Martinez. He's been commanding. He's been great at crosses, which I was worried about. Always liked his shot stopping. Had no problems with his distribution. He's a great backup. But for me, Leno, number one all day long.
Right, before we finish up, we have got the Leicester game. And obviously, next Sunday, we've got the North London derby as well to look at.
At the toilet bowl.
Manny. At the toilet bowl. Yeah, the empty toilet bowl. We'll have bleach around the edge of it and everything. So
right. I wonder everyone's still got plenty of toilet roll, guys. Everyone's still got plenty of bog roll.
Well, from what I hear, there's plenty of turds lying around in there.
Manny, your thoughts on what you expect for the Leicester game? Are Leicester on a demise during lockdown, a bit like Sheffield?
No, I think they'll be up for it. Man. They, wiped the floor with Palace rather easily. Confidence, coming back in the team, I think they'll be up for it. I can smell a draw in this one. I think it's going to be tougher than people think. Form is temporary, remember that. So I think like a 1-1. I can see a 1-1 in this one.
You won't have seen it, but we've got a banner in the stadium that says class is permanent. Touché, mon chéri.
Leicester's going to be difficult, man. Leicester, go on, man.
Go on, Dan. No, go on, Dan.
No, I was just going to say Leicester was going to be difficult. Listen, they've dropped some points. Good win yesterday. Jamie Vardy scoring. He had to score in time for us. Going to be very difficult to contain, as he always is. Likes to goal at the Emirates as well. I am with Manny. I think this will be a score draw. It's going to be a difficult game, and it's one that we kind of would like to feel now that we've beaten Wolves. We deserve or should win. But let's not get it twisted. They're a very, very good side, well organised, great manager, good individually as well as a team. And I think it's going to be difficult. I'm going to agree with Manny and go 1-1.
Yeah, the worst thing for us was Vardy getting his shooting touchback yesterday. But I'm actually really looking forward to the Leicester game and the Spurs game. If for no other reason, just to gauge how our young lads are progressing. Yeah. Okay. I think it'll be a really tough game.
That's not to you. That's not to you, men. By the way.
Yeah, I know who it's for, mate. I can see who it's for. I've been watching recently. Yeah, I've been watching.
Listen to the old version. And listen to us losing our shit. Lee Judge has put up a comment earlier on. Big up for getting Mustafi on the pod. Listen, if there's ever a reason to join our YouTube and look at the YouTube or Facebook, you need to. Danny Potts.
Don't take this, Potts. For God's sake, don't take this.
Don't take it.
Go on, sorry.
Tough game, really tough game. Made worse by the fact that Vardy's found his scoring touch again. I fancy us again to just about edge this one. I think there'll be one goal in it. We will concede, but I think we'll get a couple against these Leicester. I think we'll win. Yeah, I think we will win. So I'm going to disagree with you two guys. I think we'll win. It will be a tough game, though. I can't wait to play Spurs.
I remember very vividly the game against Leicester in the year when they won the league.
Yeah,
and Welbeck came on and scored that last minute goal. I think we really need to harness that and have a repeat and actually spank them. But I'm going for a Desmond.
Desmond Tutu. So far we've only got men going for a victory. Richard, are you going to disagree with the masses?
I mean, to be honest with you, I'm quite surprised everybody's praising Leicester as much as they are. They've been poor since before Christmas. They had a good result the other day against Crystal Palace, fair enough. But I mean, most teams beat Crystal Palace at home anyway, so I don't think that's necessarily too much to read into that.
Apart from us.
Well, we used to always beat them, didn't we? It's only been last season and this season. But I mean, I don't think Leicester have been that great for a while, really. They had a great start to the season and they were obviously flying. But, you know, the points they've picked up or dropped, rather, since probably December, I'm not particularly overly concerned. I mean, it's not going to be an easy game. There's no easy games in the Premier League. And obviously, Vardy does like Potsy said, he does like to score against us in particular. There's usually goals when we play Leicester at home, actually. You know, there was a 4-3 the other year, wasn't there? There's always seems to be goals. So
3-1 last year.
Yeah, exactly. So there's always goals. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was maybe 3-2. But I think we'll win. I'm fairly confident we'll win just because we've got momentum. We're on a roll. The only concern I've got is the amount of games that we've played. We've played the most games, haven't we, because of the FA Cup as well. So our schedule's been really tight. We haven't got a lot of turnaround. Every playing Saturday and Tuesday. So it's going to be tough. But yeah, I think we'll win. I'm going to go 3-2 just because I fancy a good game.
I'm actually going to agree with you, Richard. I'm going to go for a victory, but I'm probably going to go for 3-1. We seem to be able to score at the minute. Yes, we've maintained a lot of clean sheets, but I'm not 100% confident in our defence. And I think we you know, I feel it that we're on a bit of a momentum and we seem to be going somewhere. That boat that Arteta talked about, and Guendouzi obviously may or may not want to be on or lying on the sun deck or whatever. What do we make? What's that?
He's been thrown overboard, isn't he, Guendouzi?
I wasn't on the boat. I was nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing to do with that boat.
Someone thrown him overboard anyway.
What do we make of the contract situation then? You got Ozil. There's rumours of him being offered a substantial amount of money to go on loan and sever his contract. Mkhitaryan, that we had a mutual agreement and saved the club £10 million, and he's going to stay at Roma. It seems. I have to admit, I'm not overly keen on Raul. I'm not a Kroenke fan at all. I'm not overly keen on Raul and Vinay on what they've done and what I've heard they're doing behind the scenes. But what do we make of what's happening now? I don't know. We've ran way over. I've given up. That's Johnny's fault. Johnny's back. What do we make of the contract negotiations and what's happening in the club at the minute. Can you see us looking like we're getting our house in order? Who wants to go on this one then?
Well, let me start, because I agree with most people that the rot comes from above, and we've got owners who just see us as something on a balance sheet, and Josh's little plaything, but it's Raul and Vinay who are running the club as part of this executive committee, and I don't feel that they've got I don't think that Raul has got our best interests at heart. I think he's more concerned about pleasing those people in his Rolodex and signing and selling players in order to satisfy those people. That's why we've got Kia Jarabshan in the executive box next to him. And Vinay, he may be a very good bean counter, but he's just a bean counter at the end of the day. He's worked his way up through the Arsenal structure. That's great, but what we need is a clear footballing direction, and we need someone at the head of that. And Raul isn't that person. He's a deal maker. We all know he's a deal maker. He's not a footballing, thoroughbred.
But Johnny, we cried out for David Dean, who was a deal maker, to use your phrase. We cried out for somebody like that in there. We've got it.
Yes and no. Yes and no. David Dean loved, and still loves the club with everything that he is. Raul just come here for a pay packet. He doesn't love the club. He got booted out of Barcelona. He couldn't get a decent job in Spain. We've taken him on as a deal maker. The game has changed, right? When David Dean brought in Wenger, and he had a clear vision of where he wanted the club to go, and that was where we went with it. He gave Wenger the time to fulfill the vision. We don't have that much of a vision. We have a really fantastic coach who's got the potential to be a top level coach, but we also need to have a footballing director in order to push it all rowing in the same direction on the boat.
Manny, Kia says in the comments, Raul did sign Tierney, Martinelli, Pepe, and
Saliba.
Yeah. Kia, do me a favor. My pronunciation is bad enough. Your spelling does not help me.
Kia, is his name Kai? I'm sure.
Kai.
There we go.
Just clear that up, because Raul did not sign Martinelli.
Thank you.
It was Cachigal scouted him and pushed for him to be signed, and Edu got the deal done. Edu was part of that. Right, Raul got the agents together, but he was on nobody's radar at all.
Yeah,
because he was on the third tier of Brazilian football. He was not in any stats database that all the clubs can access. Go through it like Football Manager and say, "Oh, look at him, his pace is quite good. Oh, actually, he's quite good at this." Because there was no stats, he was actually old schooled and scouted by Cajigal in the south of America. So Tierney was a deal to be done. Pepe was a deal to be done with agents.
Every bit of that without moving your lips. That it's absolutely amazing.
I'm gonna have to go. Mate, guys, I'm gonna have to cut and run, mate. I've got someone at the door now.
All right,
no worries, man. Cheers,
See
man.
you guys later.
Cheers,
I'll
man.
catch up later.
Cheers,
Yeah, boys.
Yeah.
Go on. You. I can't remember. It was about.
Contracts and are we moving forward? Basically, yeah.
Are we moving forward? I don't know. Time will tell. We're tying down our youngsters. We're tying down our assets. Great. Still making mistakes in signing, rejects from other top clubs and putting them on, huge money. You can't tell me that there wasn't a decent enough defender that we could have gotten for the 8 million and 165K a week we paid for David Luiz. I still think No, I still we're still making mistakes. Raul, I don't trust the guy. I don't trust him. There's something about him that's just off. You know, he's slimy. I think the interview him and Vinay did last year. With players that are running down their contracts. If they got 2 years left, we'll get rid of him. Well, that hasn't happened, has it? We're still in a position where we're being bent over by these super agents. Do you know what I mean? I don't trust any of these people. None of them. They don't have the club's best interest at heart. It's who they can get backhanders off and, who they can get the best deal for crap average players. And I thought we were done with that, with Gazidis leaving, but I feel like we've got another batch of people again who are going to lead us through mediocrity before we see the light, man. I don't trust these people at all.
Looking at things more positively, though, to be fair, in terms of Martinelli and Saka, it looks like we're now starting to learn that we're not letting contracts run down stupidly in with the youngsters. So that's got to be a positive. Them two signing for me was huge, absolutely huge. I'd be more frustrated with them two leaving than some of the other people at the club. If the rumours are true about Ozil being offered to leave, good. Looks like him and Guendouzi are gone. It's a shame about Guendouzi. That's another story. But I feel that them two are going to be gone for some money. When you look at the Mkhitaryan deal, if that's true, that's good business. You look at El Neni, Mustafi, Socrates is leaving, definitely. Hasn't kicked a ball yet. So there's some positives there. If we're looking at the senior players we want to be leaving at this club, the only one that I believe will stay, that I believe I would like to see going in the next couple of windows, is Granit Xhaka. All of the others look to me like they are going to be going either this window or the next window. So that for me is positive going forward.
Maybe, Dan, we need Granit Xhaka, and I'm not entering into a long conversation because we're way overrun, and I know everybody's got to get on and do stuff. But maybe we do need to keep some of that seniority within the squad, getting rid of lots and lots and lots of deadwood, expensive players like Mkhitaryan, like Ozil, like... Okay, yeah, it is a bit of a shame with Guendouzi, but where my position is on that.
It's not a shame for you. It's not a shame for you. You are giggling your ass off right now. You are happy because the minute that kid came through the door, you had something against him, Fergus. I remember the podcast very well. I remember it very well. The minute he came through the door, you had a problem with him.
Hands up, I've never had a problem with him. I've had a problem with his style and his technique, in the sense that he fell over and he was flopping around and he was moaning at the referee. He's got better, but then he done what he did at Brighton. He lost his shit, and he shouldn't do that. He should keep himself together. But listen, we can go on for ages.
I want to know, though.
What do you mean? The last thing I shouldn't do that. I don't understand. I mean, we literally praise players in the past for doing that stuff. So
we praise Vieira to doing exactly the same thing.
Keown for jumping on Van Nistelrooy. We praise
Bergkamp did it as well.
We praise Fabregas for throwing a pizza at fucking Ferguson.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, well, right. That's okay. That's acceptable.
So listen, Guendouzi's 21 years old. Tell me that none of you that were 20, you were 21 and you didn't do any stupid things. This is
we had a comment about 21 years old. Weren't you stupid when you were 21? Well, actually, when I was 22, I was married and I had 2 kids. So
that is fairly stupid. That is fairly stupid.
Listen, the kid's 21 and he's never had his chin checked, man. And for the first time, he's actually getting his chin checked. And if he comes back from that, it would say a lot about him as a player, but also as a man. Yeah, we shouldn't be slating the kid, man. He's 21. He's immature. We've all been immature at 21.
For me, I wish him well, but I'd rather he's not in a red and white shirt anymore. I'd like him and Granit Xhaka to be gone, but there we go. Listen, I've enjoyed having you back on, Manny. It's been really good. I know you're stuck for time. You got stuff to get on with at 7:30, which you said to me before. So we've way overrun, but thanks for having you back on. Don't be a stranger, Moppet.
Well, when you invite me, I'll let you know. Just invite me back. I'll be here.
Listen, these things are amazing. You can send messages to people.
Well, you're the one who invites people. Invite me, bro.
I don't beg. Dan, thank you as always. Are you on 4 more podcasts tonight?
Nah, man, I'm on tomorrow night on Same Old Arsenal only, like I am all the time. Guns and Yellow Ribbons and Same Old Arsenal are the only 2 podcasts I do, Fergus. Thank you very much. And it's been a pleasure to have Manny back on. It's been nice to have Johnny back on. It's been good to speak to Richard. And it's been greatly hosted by Terry Wogan. Thank you very much.
That's an internal WhatsApp chat name. Mind you, my hair was very tame until yesterday. Rich, you okay up there north up in Newcastle?
Yeah, no, it's lovely up here. Yeah, it's just a bit windy today, but yeah, it's been great. But no, I mean, it's great to be on again. I love chatting to you guys. It's always a good laugh, and it's always some good debates go on, don't we? So, which is great. And we're never going to always agree on everything, are we? But that's the whole point, isn't it?
Never.
Surely.
If we did it, it'd be bloody boring.
It would indeed. It would indeed. So, it's a pleasure as always.
And Johnny, thank you as always. You need to go out and sort your courgette out.
Yeah. I need to harvest some veg.
Listen, Archangels, well, thanks, guys. Great and well kept secret. This podcast. Well, don't make it a secret. Share with your mates. This is an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Thank you for listening to Guns and the Yellow Ribbons. Only one last thing to say. You know what it is. Up the arse.
Up the arse.
Up the arse.
Takes forever to stop this nowadays. 4:30.